The Alamo holds a special place in history, not just for Texas, but for the entire world. And this site is now being recreated to tell that story. And as the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, I want to be sure that that story is told accurately so that the men who died here are honored in the new Alamo of the future. The Alamo is a Texas treasure that holds a special place in history for freedom-loving people all around the world. The battle that took place here changed the course of American history and Western civilization. This site tells a story that should be remembered for centuries to come. And as Lieutenant Governor, I want to be sure that story honors the men who fought and died here in the newly planned recreation of Alamo Plaza. Several years ago, the Texas legislature authorized over $100 million to begin the restoration of Alamo Plaza under the control of the Land Commissioner's Office and the Alamo Trust. And as Lieutenant Governor, I've taken a special interest in this project. Several months ago, I became very concerned the direction the project was taking after I saw the early development plans and drawings that looked more like a central park than the Alamo battlefield. And although the project is under the General Land Office, I took immediate action to stop that plan and redirect the project. Most Texans, like me, want to see the Alamo renovation recreate the fort and the battlefield as it appeared in 1836, so that the story of the courage and valor of the defenders can be told. They also expect to see, as I do, a world-class museum and visitor center. My passion for the Alamo began when I was a kid like so many others, watching Walt Disney's Davy Crockett and John Wayne's The Alamo. When I became Lieutenant Governor, I took one room and turned it into what I now call the Alamo Room on the second floor of the Capitol. It contains a diorama that I commissioned of the battle and my collection of artifacts, including a cannonball from the battlefield and signatures of our Texas founders, including Bowie, Travis, and Crockett, who died at the Alamo. And I built a collection of memorabilia from John Wayne's movie, The Alamo. So it is my hope, and looking at the current new renderings, they want to recreate the Alamo as it looked in 1836. So today, there's a street running right here. The cenotaph is right here, and there are shops across the street. So there would be a world-class visitors center and museum here, recreate the boundaries of the fort to the best of our limitations on size. There is a massive building where the north wall would be, so it will be a little shorter than the original fort. But we want people to walk in to this fort and have a feel where Davy Crockett was and Jim Bowie died, and where Travis died on the north wall, and the Trevino house where Travis lived. And the cenotaph, of course, has been a major point of controversy with some. Some want to keep it on the grounds that I believe should happen. Others want to take it from here and move it out to here. The next step in the recreation of the Alamo is a vote by the Texas Historical Commission. They're voting next week on the redevelopment plan and whether or not to move the Alamo cenotaph. A cenotaph is a monument built to those who are buried elsewhere. And while no one knows where the bodies of those brave men who died that day are, the cenotaph has become a center point of the Alamo Plaza for almost 100 years. Supporters of the cenotaph believe the monument to those who died there should stay on the battlefield where they died. And if moved outside the walls of the battlefield, it would be unprotected from the damage or desecration that unfortunately has become all too common in this day and age. Even though many feel they have not made a convincing argument to move the cenotaph, some San Antonio politicians are threatening to stop the entire Alamo renovation project unless the cenotaph is moved, depriving Texas of the restoration of our most treasured historical site and costing the city millions in tourist dollars. I am urging the Texas Historical Commission to honor the spirit of 1836 and honor those who died there side by side with Bowie, Travis, and Crockett, three of the most famous men in history. Keep the cenotaph within the footprint of the Alamo Mission battlefield and tell the story of the 13 days of glory at the siege of the Alamo. So once again, I urge the Texas Historical Commission to keep the cenotaph here in the footprint of the Alamo to honor those who gave their life for freedom, for not just for Texas, but they told that story to the whole world.